Hello, everyone. Welcome to Santa Cruz Works New Tech on November 4th. Who do we have tonight, Amanda?
Well, up first, we have Sabrina, who is going to present to us. And Sabrina, come on down.
So I assume oh, there we go. We're moving to our first slide. So it's just me presenting tonight, but I wanted to put Josh Fiegels on here because he's the reason I'm here tonight, and liaise with Doug, and just does really good work in our government channels. And I'll talk a little bit about how what we do there will give anyone who's here access to our software, oftentimes for free. Palo Alto Software was actually started in Palo Alto, California. I am the CEO. I've been the CEO since 2007, but we are headquartered now in Eugene, Oregon, and have 75 employees here. With an office, although we are now spread all over the Eugene, Springfield, and a little bit beyond area because we are still all virtual. If you can move to the next slide, please. So Palo Alto Software has a mission to help people succeed in business. That's what we love. That's what we're passionate about. What keeps me coming to work every day, and what keeps everybody else who works for us coming to work every day. And we produce online content and products that help people with different aspects of starting, running, and growing their small businesses. So we've got LivePlan, which is a business planning, strategic forecasting, and financial management tool. We've got Outpost with it, which is a product that helps you manage email for your small business and collaborate with your team. And we have bplans.com, which is a pretty deep and wide free online content site focusing on business planning, including 500 complete free sample business plans. So if you're trying to figure out what to do and you're in the startup mode, I definitely suggest you head over to bplans.com, because it's basically like a specialized business planning startup focused content site like inc.com, but just for business planning. And really, I just want to emphasize that what makes me tick is helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I love that although Palo Alto Software is not a startup, I feel like I live in the startup world every day in the work that we do. If you can move on to the next slide, please. So LivePlan is our flagship product. The product will help you plan, fund, and grow your business. It is a software that kind of takes the mystery out of doing strategic forecasting, financial management. And if you need to write a business plan for an investor, for an SBA loan, if you need to track PPP money that you are using and want to make sure that you're really being as strategic as possible with that money, you're making sure you applied it to forgiveness correctly. These are the types of things that LivePlan can do for you. And it is a product that we developed for small businesses to actually use on their own, so they don't need consultants. Although we do team up with groups like Santa Cruz Works, SBDCs, Women Business Centers, because if you need some help, it's always great to work with an advisor. If you can move to the next slide. Our Outpost product is actually a product that we built for ourselves internally, and we then productized it. So it helps your team respond to clients faster. And I think Amanda's about to shoo me off, so I'll go to the last slide here before questions. It's our bplans.com slide, and it's our content site. And you can see all the free content you get there. So I will cede my time here. I know I've gone over. Thank you very much, Amanda and Doug.
Thank you, Sabrina. And I'm going to bring Matthew online to do our Q&A.
Okay, well, thank you, Amanda. Sabrina, so we have one question here so far. What size business usually uses your service? I know you said small businesses, but like, what are we looking at? Is this like mom and pop retail, or what kind of businesses and how small?
So our sweet spot is between 5 and 20 employees, and startups who are planning to be in that space. But the software is a very powerful tool. We actually use it ourselves. So particularly, we always use it to put together a strategic plan and a forecast every year. And then we manage the plan and those financials every month. But when COVID hit, we used it because we have scenarios, a forecasting scenarios feature. So we built our COVID scenario because, like many other businesses, we were hit. So we're 75 employees. We've had people raise $30 million. We have hundreds of thousands of small businesses who use us every year to get SBA funding. So it's a tool that has a lot of kind of variance in terms of how simple or complex you need and want it to be.
Great, well answered. Okay, next question. What would you say is your competitive differentiator?
So I think our competitive differentiator is we're really a knowledge-based tool. It's not a template system. LivePlan is a tool that takes that small business, whether it's a startup entrepreneur or a seasoned CEO, and kind of takes you through the thought process and the strategy and the thinking side of your business. But it gives you the structure and the platform. So you don't have to recreate all the spreadsheets and formulas and integrate things into Excel and Word. Instead, you can focus on the content and the strategy. And then we help you think about that side of it if you do need help in understanding how to think about your total addressable market, for instance.
Great. Okay, we've got a question over here in the chat. Remember, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, but I think this is a good question, so we're going to ask. How can LivePlan help me come up with smarter tactics?
So the first thing is, I would say, especially these days, to use LivePlan to put together your financial forecast, which would include a cash flow forecast, because then you can understand your cash position. Based on your cash position, you can make more strategic decisions about how to spend your resources and how you can grow. And then as you move forward, if you use LivePlan connected to QuickBooks Online or Xero, and you manage to that plan, then you can continue to make better decisions along the way, see that you have more or less cash available to do other things.
Okay. Oh man, our time ran up. I was going to ask you Rolling Stones or the Beatles, but I guess we'll have to do that another time. Okay, Amanda, I'll give it back over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Matthew. Up next, we have Fritz, who's going to present on Skydio. That's got to be the wrong emphasis.
No, Skydio.
Oh, I nailed it. All right,
Yeah.
on to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Glad to be here. So again, my name is Fritz Reber. I'm head of public safety integration at Skydio. Certainly, I'd like to thank everyone at Santa Cruz Works for the opportunity to present here today, and of course, all the listeners out there tuning in to hear about Skydio. So, Skydio is a startup based in Redwood City, so nearby. We build drones for consumers and enterprise users. The company was founded in 2014, and as you can see here, we pull brains from the who's who of Silicon Valley. We've recently raised a $100 million Series C, bringing a total of $170 million in backing from world-class investors and strategic partners. And this funding will help us grow and support more and more customers over time. Next slide, please. So Skydio is the leading US drone manufacturer and world leader in autonomous flight. And our mission is to make the world more productive, creative, and safe with autonomous flight. Next slide. So I would like to start off by saying we take our leadership position in this industry very seriously. And to that end, we've released Skydio's engagement and responsible use principles you see here, which were designed, where we design all our products and solutions around these principles, and we also encourage our customers to comply with this as well. We feel it's very important that we take our role really responsibly. Next slide. So the future of drones is autonomy. Today's drones evolved out of remote control helicopters, and which were way too hard to fly and too hard to do anything useful with. So the age of manual drones today is built on drones that have GPS and rudimentary vision positioning systems on them, so they're easier to fly and they can hover in place. But we're reaching the limits of manual hardware's potential, and every year we see improvements like slightly bigger batteries and better sensors, but nothing truly game-changing. And so for drones to become everyday tools, they'll need to do more than just hover in place. They'll need to actually fly themselves. And so the future belongs to pilots equipped with AI-driven aircraft that help them get the job done. And so with that, let's meet the first two truly autonomous drones, the Skydio 2 and the Skydio X2. Next slide, good. So here we have the Skydio 2. It's equipped with 6 navigation cameras powered by sophisticated software that provides 360-degree obstacle avoidance capability. It's easy to fly and very hard to crash. The drone can see and recognize the world around it, so it can do the work to avoid crashing while the pilot is free to accomplish the missions or tasks at hand. The unprecedented ease of use means more people can fly the drone to be creative, productive, and safe. It comes with a unique first-of-its-kind beacon controller that really takes advantage of the drone's key feature, autonomy. Next slide, please. Here is the Skydio X2. So we've taken all the brains of the Skydio 2 and put it on a platform that serves the needs of enterprise, defense, and public safety. It has more powerful sensors, a longer flight time, and the ability to fly in darkness. And it enables more people who have work to do it safer, quicker, and more efficiently. And next slide. And this will be a 30-second video.
I can't believe that this technology exists.
This is just some next-gen futuristic ass shit right here.
This drone is an incredibly intelligent, autonomous flying machine.
You can confidently go in and get the shots you want and not have to worry about hitting obstacles.
No way I would have done that with my DJI drone.
The fact that they're this sophisticated in a machine that can fly, can navigate, can avoid obstacles, can recognize people, to me is just mind-blowing.
It's been the most fun that I've had playing with a drone since drones came out on the market many years ago.
But this is the future. This is the next 10, 20 years of our evolution around electronics that are in this drone today.
That's it. I hope I made the 5 minutes and I'm ready for questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Rick. Matthew, on to you.
Okay, great. We already have some good questions already. What are the primary use cases for this drone?
So the consumers who have the Skydio 2, they use it to follow them while they're doing sports activities. As you can see, surfing, snow skiing, water skiing, riding bikes, skateboards, whatever. And then the X2 and the Skydio 2 as well is used by public safety and enterprise to go where it's too dangerous to put people. So they're used to inspect power lines. They're used by police officers to see around the corner before they put someone in harm's way or send a dog around the corner. They're used for situational awareness. They're used to record accident scenes, get 3D rendering or mapping of crime scenes and accident scenes. So really the use cases we're finding endless the more customers we talk to.
Okay, great. Next question. Can your drone fly autonomously inside a storage, ballast tank, inside a vessel? How about vessel in motions at sea? Are you interested in a project with the US Navy? Big question there.
Well, yeah, I think I've heard of the US Navy, so I'm definitely interested in the project with them. That'd be fantastic. It's actually perfect for inside flight because of its obstacle avoidance. It doesn't have a magnetometer, so it's great in GPS denied environments. There's no calibration issues. So those types of use cases, you'll find that this drone really excels compared to what else is out there.
Okay, great. Okay, we have 3 more questions, and we only have 1 minute or so. Cost. How much do they cost?
So the Skydio 2, just the drone itself with a battery and you fly off your phone, is $1,000. It can go all the way up to $2,500 if you get all the special bells and whistles in terms of extra batteries, the controller, the beacon. So, I guess a la carte it around $1,500 is the typical cost for most people for the Skydio 2. The Skydio X2, that cost varies. It's more for enterprise and public safety. That's over 10,000, not quite up to 20,000, depending on what you get or what you have.
Okay, lightning round here. Are the drones fireproof? This could be useful for detecting forest fires.
So it is used by fire departments. The Skydio 2 and the Skydio X2 is being looked at by fire departments. That's their primary use case, is to find hotspots with a thermal. In terms of fireproof, it's no more fireproof than any other drone. Although I would say the Skydio X2 is pretty rugged and has extreme temperature ranges that are better than the Skydio 2.
Okay, last question. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, Star Wars, I guess.
Star Wars. Good response. Okay, there's actually some other questions for you. So if you could go in the Q&A, it'd be great if you can answer those for our participants. Back to you, Amanda.
Thanks, Matthew, and thanks, Fritz. Up next, we have Stacy with Canix.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm Stacy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Canix, and we are an ERP for cannabis companies. Cannabis companies have a lot of unique challenges under federal statewide legalization. Cannabis plants actually all have to be tagged with an individual barcode. So this regulation puts a major burden on cannabis operators. Next slide. So you can see the old way that people were actually tracking inventory in these plants, writing down barcode numbers on pieces of paper and then taking that to the state track and trace system and spending hours inputting that. Next slide. So at Canix, we took that process and we made it a lot simpler. Our software involves a offline enabled mobile app that operators can use out in the field to scan barcodes directly and send that information to the state track and trace system. We estimate that this saves operators 75% of their time on data entry. Next slide. So our software is, it's 4 major parts, and the design is to help cannabis operators with all major business operations, including tracking inventory, managing sales, automating compliance, and forecasting yield. So like I mentioned, the software is 4 parts: an offline enabled mobile app, an RFID integration, a Bluetooth scale integration, and then a web-based cloud platform that has invoicing, reporting, and forecasting. Next slide. So we've grown pretty quickly. We only launched publicly in June of 2019. And since then, we've grown to what's actually now 129K MRR. We span over 314 companies across over 1,000 facilities and 6 states. We have a strong word of mouth engine. Over 15% of our customers come from referrals. Next slide. So we have, essentially, this is a new industry, but there are a lot of other companies that are seeking to become the ERP for cannabis companies. Our advantage in growing so quickly and why we've been able to accomplish what we have in a short amount of time is really because of our feature set and the strength of our engineering team. That's one of the core tenets at Canix, that we're both technical co-founders, so the strength of our engineering team is really what sets us apart. Next slide. So in addition to providing ERP capabilities to our operators, we see a major opportunity for Canix to not only help operators with their internal operations, but also help them benchmark across the industry. Right now, if you want to compare yourself to other operators and know if what you're selling at is the right price, there's not good data sources to do that. And Canix is really well positioned right now in order to become the industry benchmark. Next slide. So our addressable market, there's about 50,000 cannabis farmers and $500 per month. So it's a $300 million market right now. Actually, that's probably grown since last night, where 5 more states were legalized. And we do expect this to grow quickly over the next 5 years. Next slide. So right now we're in California, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Oregon. And if you could go to the next slide, you can see that we're expanding to 13 US states and Canada over the next half. And if you go to the next slide, you can also see that we're expanding geographic down the verticals from cultivation alone into manufacturing and distribution as well. Next slide. So the vision of Canix is to become the software system that cannabis operators use to run their entire business. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to our questions here. First question, how did this idea come about? What was like the genesis behind your company?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer. I was working on a project for another cannabis company, essentially helping them connect their CRM and distribution systems. And I just, while working on that project, discovered how manual the inventory tracking process was. So I partnered with a friend of mine, Artem from Facebook, and we set out to launch this company together.
Okay, great. I think that is all the questions we have for you right now, but I know there'll be a couple more. So, there's the next question. Do you think any of your technology could be used for other crops like strawberries or tree crops?
Yeah, so the most applicable crop that our technology could be used for is hemp, because hemp is actually the same plant as cannabis sativa. However, we've had some inbounds from hemp companies, but we're focused on the cannabis industry. We just, as a small team, we're 15 people headquartered in San Francisco right now. We want to focus on this first before expanding into other crops. And the compliance for hemp is not as strict as the compliance for cannabis.
Okay, great. Next question. How will your software employ usage analytics to determine and optimize best practices?
So our software essentially helps cultivators calculate profit per gram, which is the North Star metric for a lot of cannabis farms. And they can run cost per gram yields across different harvest batches, different rooms, and different strains. So when you're able to measure it, then you can see if you're running experiments on temperature and light in different rooms, which yields are the highest in different rooms across strains or batches.
Okay, great. Next question. How will blockchain affect your solution?
So blockchain won't affect our solution because we integrate the state track and trace system metric that we integrate with is not based on, it's not a blockchain based system. If it were, I guess we don't really see that as a near term likelihood that the state is going to adopt a blockchain based system. If it were, I think we would refine Canix so it would integrate with the new system.
Great. Next question. Can technology help growers and dispensaries find ways to borrow money?
That's a really good question. And yes, it can. So one of the big holdups for banks right now to lend to the cannabis industry is that they don't have enough data on these companies to be able to do typical due diligence that a bank does. So technology can help growers and dispensaries obtain capital by connecting with their banks. And this is actually an integration that we're exploring by allowing opt-in access for their bank to run reports showing how much inventory they're selling, what they're holding, and essentially any like the typical due diligence that a bank would do on a different company, by making that very easy for the bank to do on a cannabis company that will unlock capital for them.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Stacy. Very well answered. We're going to have to move on with Amanda. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A if you want to look at that and answer those. Okay,
Great.
Amanda.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Stacy. Up next, we have Daniel from Noir Lighting.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Noir, and we are building awareness for commercial property owners. Next slide. So I'm one of the co-founders of Noir. I do a lot of the business operations. My background's actually in finance. I have a master's in finance from the London Business School. Our other co-founder is Scott Minor. He has a PhD in physics and handles all of our engineering. And then Tyler Anderson does a lot of our design work. Next slide. So what is the problem that Noir is solving? We help commercial building owners understand how their spaces are utilized. And this is a problem today because most commercial building owners are approaching this problem using periodic site surveys. And periodic site surveys are really just a snapshot in time and show you how the space is utilized on that day when it's done, but it doesn't really give you a broad understanding of how a commercial space is used. So next slide. So our solution to this problem is the Noir switch. It's a radar-based light switch, the first of its kind. And there are a lot of really cool aspects of radar that allow us to provide these commercial property owners with really detailed analysis. And this data allows us to deliver a lot of really interesting insights that the property owners can use to save time and money. So for example, the property owners can rent out underutilized space. They can also, if they know that a space hasn't been used for say 5 days, tell their cleaning services to hold off on cleaning that space. In a COVID-19 world, the light switch can also help property owners understand social distancing if people have been gathering in a particular space. And then we can pair it with UV light to essentially sanitize the space when people are no longer using it. Next slide. So there's a lot of really great advantages to radar over some other technologies like passive infrared. So one of them is that we gain much broader coverage of a room than passive infrared. With passive infrared, you'd have to use multiple sensors to really get a deep understanding of how that space is utilized. And then next slide. And then another advantage of radar over passive infrared is that it's very sensitive to movement. So anybody who's ever sat in a conference room and done the arm dance to get the passive infrared's attention is familiar with this particular problem. It's so sensitive that even if you're just simply breathing, we can understand how, if a person is still in that space. And so this provides a benefit not just to the owner of the property, but also the individuals that are using it. And the next slide. And then another advantage is really the detail that we gather. With passive infrared, you kind of understand that, yes, the space is occupied, but with radar, we're able to tell you that 3 people, for example, are sitting in these different locations in this space and how long they've been there for. And then next slide. So some of the one of our main competitors is Density. They use infrared. Again, we get a lot more sensitivity. The device is meant for plug and play. So you just simply install it and it works. And then next slide. We've made a lot of progress over the last year that we've been developing it. We've already built the tools and we've got T1 samples of the switch. We're hoping to go into certification by the end of this month, have it certified by the end of the year, and hit 2021 with the ground running for sales. And then next slide. And then lastly, the biggest need that we have is raising capital. We've already raised $100,000 from 2 Silicon Valley-based angel investors. We're looking for another $400,000 to really help build out the software side of our solution.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Daniel. First question, and again, if you have a question for Daniel, please put it in the Q&A. I already see one there. Where do you see Noir in the next 5 years? 5 to 10 years? Like, is there a plan there?
Yeah, so from a technology perspective, we want to continue to refine it. Right now, it uses 24 gigahertz radar with 1 transmit, 1 receive. We'll get it so that the radar is even more sensitive and provides more detail. But beyond that, I think there's a lot of opportunities to add additional products around the radar technology that, for example, faucets in commercial properties and other automation and control products in this sort of niche of the real estate market.
Great, thank you. Next question, will lighting systems also help monitor power usage and electricity cost?
It can do that, but it's not the main problem that we're trying to solve for commercial property owners. And one of the really big insights that we had with this product, because we initially thought that energy was the thing that would really get property owners excited. And Arizona State University, one of the largest universities in the country, when we were talking to the individual that runs their facilities management, the sort of light bulb moment for both them and for us was that the real problem they were most interested in solving was room utilization. While we'll certainly help with lighting control, and we can ensure that lights are only used when individuals are occupying that space, unlike infrared, which there will always be some lag. The room utilization was what they were most interested in.
Okay. Okay, next question. Can this device be used for security purposes, recognizing when there is a movement in space where it is not expected or desired?
Yeah, we definitely see that as a potential use case for this switch, given its sensitivity, understanding if somebody is in a space where they don't belong, or at a time they don't belong in that space. And kind of similarly, we see use cases for health monitoring and other use cases around that.
Okay, great. 20 seconds here. Will there be applications beyond commercial property?
Yeah, we absolutely see this product longer term going into residential market. We think this is just a superior product than anything that's currently in the market for residential, and was kind of the initial reason that we pursued this idea was my co-founder Scott's frustration with lighting products in general.
Okay, great. So there's a couple questions about it could be used outdoors. There's a COVID question. If you could go in the Q&A, Daniel, and answer that, that would be great. But thank you very much for answering those questions in your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, Amanda, move it over to you.
Thanks, Matthew. Up next, we have Erin with OutSchool.
All right, well, welcome. And thank you everyone for letting me talk about OutSchool. My name is Erin Gerard, and I am a member of our class quality team for OutSchool. I'm also a parent on the site and a teacher on the site. OutSchool is a marketplace of live online classes for kids worldwide. Next slide. Here is our team. Part of them, we are growing and we are seeing growth, not just with our staff to support our students. We're founded in 2015. We are based out of San Francisco. We offer over 100,000 classes. And we also, within that, have 10,000 independent teachers, and we've had 2 million learner hours since our start. We went to full-time live classes in 2017. Our classes meet in small groups of 3 to 12 learners, depending on the age, and they meet just like this over Zoom. And again, our teachers are independent, who are background checked, and our classes range from one-time enrichment classes to semester-long core classes, and our ages that we serve are 3 to 18. Next slide, please. All right, so yes, we have small class sizes, and we have all kinds of opportunities for students who might not have those opportunities in a traditional school setting. And these classes can be taken anywhere, anytime, and pretty much we cover any subject matter. And here are a couple of different images you'll see of students taking classes and our teachers teaching classes. Next slide. So you'll see students doing science, you'll see students doing art, and they will meet in their Zoom room with their teachers and interact with each other there. Next slide. Students can choose from a variety of different classes. Our search enables families to be able to find classes by simply typing in keywords. They can also search for classes by day, time, ages, and subject. They also can search for classes by our different formats, meaning one-time, multi-day, flexible schedule, which is our asynchronous class type, and our ongoing, which is a subscription-based model. Next slide. It is free to create an account on OutSchool and to browse our various classes. The classes cost anywhere from $5 for one-time classes to much more for our semester-long classes. Teachers do set their own prices, while we do have recommendations for them. This allows the cost to be split over multiple families versus hiring a one-on-one. I know pods are a big thing these days, but this allows the costs to stay low and for families to be able to customize their students' education, which is a big thing these days with COVID. Next slide. If you have any questions, I'll take them now, or you can also visit our site to learn more.
Great, thank you so much, Erin. Okay, first question, what does it cost for parents?
Well, it's free to join, and then classes will range depending on the type, whether it's a one-time class or a semester-long class. We do recommend $10 to $15 per hour of instruction for our teachers to charge. It is a marketplace, so there are a variety of different prices that you will see.
Okay, and next question, what are your qualifications for teachers?
Teachers need to have experience working with children in the age groups that they want to teach. While we do not require teachers to have credentials, we do have teachers from 5 different countries. They all must go through a background check as well. That comes after they've applied and they've been hired as a contractor.
Okay, great. Next question. I suppose this is supplementary to whatever school kids are enrolled in, question mark, or do you offer classes that are accredited in a way that they can be used in combination with traditional existing schooling?
We were started in 2015 and then went to the live classes as the answer to providing resources for homeschool families. Now we also have students from brick and mortar that do use us for traditional, academics, as well as supplementary. My own children take a variety of their own academics there through OutSchool. We are also a vendor for charter schools like Ocean Grove. That was what we were a part of when we lived in Santa Cruz up until this summer. So it depends on the charter school. It depends on the state, the district, or the country. We do have students in 200 countries now.
Great. Yes, my kids do go to Ocean Grove. So very familiar with that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Last question, because of our time, is this nationwide or California only?
We have students in over 200 countries. We have teachers in 5 different countries. So in a given class, I might have students from 2, 3, 4 different countries, and the same with my children get to meet students from all over the world through their classes.
Great. Thank you so much, Erin, for the presentation and answering our questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Erin. All right, and up last but not least, we have Andre.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Okay, thank you for having me. I'm Andre, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you RoboticCats and report fires, the world's first AI wildfire detection app today. And next slide, please. At RoboticCats, we focus on computer vision, AI, and IoT technologies. And the team, we have 8 people, and we are from a wildfire industry, as well as internet domains. We develop early wildfire detection solutions. Right now, our robots, there are 150 deployed in 8 countries, protecting forests and communities. Next slide, please. As this is our robot. It is a dual camera system. It can rotate and tilt, looking after a wildfire signal. It can detect a burning object as small as 2 square meter at 5 km distance, as well as its machine learning image detection. It can detect wildfire smoke at 9 miles away. Next slide, please. It is now deployed in 8 countries, including Hong Kong, China, Thailand, Indonesia, Greece, Portugal, Brazil, and Mexico. We will have trials coming up in the coming months in Chile, Paraguay, Australia, and South Korea. Next slide, please. This picture shows a typical example how our robots is deployed. Usually deployed in unmanned lookout tower. Next slide, please. You see, okay, this is the robot. It will rotate 360 degrees, daytime and nighttime, looking for a wildfire signal. Next slide. This is beautiful. Our robot is protecting national parks in Portugal. In this picture, it is a UNESCO World Heritage. Yeah. Next slide. This photo is breathtaking. It was taken in Australia early this year. The firefighter and a koala were standing in front of the fire. Whenever I see this picture, it reinvigorates me. And I was thinking what they are thinking about. I guess the koala was looking up to the firefighter and said, "Hey man, please help. You are created to manage the world. I believe we can do something and more than standing still. Therefore, we created an app." Next slide, please. Yep. We want to help. The fastest way to reach and help most people is to build a smartphone app. Therefore, we develop a Report Fires, the world's first AI wildfire detection app. We bring our machine learning image detections from our robot to your iPhone. Next slide, please. Next. And it do 3 things for you. First of all, it will receive notifications of wildfire detected reported by other users. Next slide. Yeah. Second, if you see a wildfire, you can use the app to quickly report the wildfire location. Next slide. Next. Yes, next please. It takes you 3 clicks and 3 seconds to help other people. Yeah. Next slide. And third, and the most innovative features, we bring our machine learning image detections. It run on your iPhone, and it will detect wildfire smoke from the images captured by your iPhone camera. Yeah, next slide. And it's easy. Just put your iPhone when you are going to sleep on a tripod. Joby is a good one. And that's all. Start the app and start the detect mode. Next slide. We've created a 40-second animation to demonstrate how you can use it.
It's a hot, dry Thursday afternoon. Anne is working in the office. She gets a notification from the Report Fires app. She launches the Report Fires app and checks the image captured by her other iPhone at home. Anne calls 911 and then leaves the office immediately, goes home to save her cat. Kitty! Report Fires app saves lives. Please support our Report Fires app Kickstarter campaign.
Thank you. And the Kickstarter event was completed last month. The app is now available and for free at App Store. Please download and try it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Andre. So first question is, how is the camera powered? Can it be powered by solar?
Oh, you mean a robot? Yes, it can be powered by standard electricity through power cable, or it can be powered by power panel. It takes about 50 watts, yes, to power up the robot.
Okay, great. Next question. Will there be a trial for this technology in the United States, maybe in California?
Of course, we want to, and then to see is to believe. Actually, I'm very happy to work with the team to do some trial in California and in Santa Cruz. It's my pleasure.
Okay, we'll definitely love to have you. What is the cost?
A quick questions. The hardware, the robot itself, including the software, is about $50,000 US per robot. Yes.
But who is the typical customer then for the actual robot? Who's actually buying that, installing that? Is it the government agencies? Is it private agencies?
80% of our customers are government agencies. They including wildfire service team, or what you guys call it in California, CAL FIRE kind of organizations, as well as national parks department, or in other countries they call it environmental protection department. We also have some private customer. They are from national grid, some telco, as well as some real estate owner. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Last question here. Can you protect the camera from heat in case the fire gets too close?
No, it will be burned. Okay, it's a yes. It may be metal, but it will be burned by a very freeze wildfire. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you so much for asking our questions. Great presentation, and I'm gonna give it back to Amanda.
Thanks so much, Matthew. And we've come to the end of our presentations here, but of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't appreciate our sponsors one more time. Thank you, sponsors. You rock.
Yes.
We love you.
And we thank everyone who presented today and everybody who participated in this event. Please feel free to send us any questions you still have, and we'll forward them if you don't have a chance to the presenters. We also will be doing a summary of this in our newsletter tomorrow and the recording. So if you want to share it or view it again, you'll be able to do that. And with that, are we done?
Adios.
I think so.
Toodaloo. Have a wonderful
Thank you, everyone.
night.